Olympic qualification in Tunis commences tomorrow. Huge excitement. There's some great nations who are involved, and many obviously are hoping to win to go to the Olympics and qualify for HSBC Sevens. And I think that's fantastic. Sadly, Ghana is unlikely to be one of them. In a few weeks' time, the men's Olympic qualifications, those are then taking place in Johannesburg. And that's another huge competition of which Ghana is involved, and I think that's fantastic. We'll be going there to do our best endeavors. The reason I mention this is that we've had the Barthez Cup this year. We've had the women's 15s. This is all in 1 year under the guidance of Khalid Babu and the new EXCO. Tough, because we've taken over, Khalid has taken over the running of Africa Rugby, where funding is short, things are difficult, sponsor fatigue is clearly abundant all over the world. World Rugby has got an entrenched position, and yet the expectations of everybody is incredibly high. Africa deserves better treatment. We're the most diverse continent, 39 different unions at least, and I may have it wrong, involved in the game, and yet it is funding for projects, for games, for competition is at all-time low. In order to attract sponsorship and money, we have to have competitions that are run at the highest level in the highest order. So the building blocks for the future have been put in place. And I think after the Barthez Cup, after the women's 15s, now we've got 2 Olympic qualifications, and then thereafter we start the famed Nations Cup late in November. So there's a different structure that we're turning around and telling sponsors and telling capital that, look, we're involved in. Rugby is the second greatest and biggest sport in the world, and Africa is doing its best to represent it, following global guidelines and rules as to how it is to be done. And I think that this tournament in Tunisia is going to be extraordinary. The one in South Africa for the men's Olympic qualification will be extraordinary. And we'll be reaching out to sponsors to be able to tell them that, look at the Nations Cup format. The reason that Africa Rugby has gone this way is to be able to spread rugby over a longer period and give greater equity to all nations. The top 16 nations in Africa that will be participating, it gives them a massive amount. And as we go into the future, clearly the future is about the African presidents themselves embracing change, embracing the need to raise funds locally in order to make the game work. I think the days are gone where people became leaders and sat down and waited for somebody else to do something. The fact of the matter is, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. We've got the message loud and clear for World Rugby, and we know that we're going to have to stand more on our own 2 feet to make that happen. This tournament is the beginning. All I can say is watch this space. I think the new EXCO, led by Khalid, and manned ably by Coralie and by Steph Nell and all the others. In my world, we deal with Adama and we deal with Charles Yapo, and I know their equivalents all over. The referees with Bosco and the rest. Everybody's having to come together to look at the future slightly differently. And I think that's going to be done. 2020 and 2021 especially, we will expect sponsors to actually look at our endeavors and what we're doing, and for the money to come in so we can expand the game even more. I say well done, Khalid. Well done, everybody else.